Welcome back to another week at From Vision to Legacy. I'm your host, Erica Marie, and this week we're going to talk about why vision matters more than strategy, at least at first, right? So, first and foremost, it is the first Friday of February. It is also Black History Month, so happy Black History Month. Okay, so I'm going to try to keep this video to around 15 to 20 minutes at most. Remember, I value your time. My goal is to get these videos to no more than 15 minutes as time goes on, right? But sometimes we may be a little bit over. So we're going to jump right in. And to get started, we first need to know or understand the difference between vision and strategy. So I'm going to hide these meeting controls because they're getting in my way and they're distracting me. So, that being said, right, vision is the destination, right? So just think of it as the destination, where you're going, right? Your long term goal or goals and why you're pursuing them or it. Okay. So you're starting here and your vision is way up here in the clouds. You can't really see it yet, right? Because you need to define it. All right. And your strategy is like the roadmap, right? It's how you get there and it can change or evolve over time. So you're starting here, then you go here, later on you're here, and then you're there. You're at your vision. You've reached the top of the mountain. You have achieved everything you set out to achieve, right? But what are you setting out to achieve? Do you know? If not, it's okay. I have an exercise that we're going to do together near the end of this video to help you get really clear on your vision so you can get really clear on your why. Okay. So, that being said, we first need to talk about why people struggle without a vision. So, like, if you don't have a defined vision, okay, why would you struggle as a business owner? Okay. Now, I chose this image for a very specific reason. Why? Because you can't really see what's going on. It's very abstract, right? I can make out some things over here, maybe a little bit over here. I can tell there might be a turn back there, right? But I'm not sure, right? This is an example of not having a vision. I don't really know where I'm going. My strategy would be, right? So since I don't know where I'm going, my strategy is going to be, I'm going to follow this one because it's wider and it may be easier to follow, right? And then I can kind of see maybe it's going to turn. Maybe there's going to be a turn in there, right? Because looking right here, maybe that's the turn. Maybe that's another part of this tunnel that I'm in, right? But again, I can't really see where I'm going. I don't know what's beyond that turn. I don't know what's waiting for me. So I'm going to struggle to plan effectively for it and be proactive. And instead, I'm going to have what's called a reactive business where I'm constantly chasing trends instead of purpose, right? So trying to do what everyone else is doing that's getting them sales, hoping it'll get me some. I'm going to pivot a lot, right? Make a lot of twists and turns without really knowing why I'm doing those or where they're leading me, right? How it's going to turn out. And even with the vision, we might not always know how it's going to turn out, right? But at least we have that destination in mind. At least we know where we're going so we can chart a clearer path to getting there versus I don't really know where I'm going, so I'm just going to see where this takes me, right? But the biggest reason people struggle without a vision is that they burn out, they get overwhelmed, they get overworked. And that happens to everyone, right? But if you don't have a vision, if you don't have that deeper why, or that inner knowing of exactly where you're going, you're just going to want to give up. There's not going to be much to keep you going because you're like, I don't even understand where I'm going. So what am I doing this for? Why am I doing this? What is the reason? What is the purpose? Right? Then you have this crisis on your hands where you're just like, what am I doing? What is the point? I'll just go back and get a job, right? Or you default to something else, healthy or not, because you don't know where you're going and you don't know why you're trying to get there because you don't see anything. It's just this big, like, blank slate. And you can choose to be optimistic and think of it as a blank slate means you can make it whatever you want, right? But on the flip side of that, a blank slate means there's no definition to it. It's empty, it's nothing. You're working towards nothing. Is that going to keep you going on hard days? Because we know as entrepreneurs, right, as business owners, we have hard days. As parents, we have hard days. But as a parent, from the moment you learn that you're going to be a parent, you start having this vision of your future child, of the life they're going to live, of who they're going to be, what they're going to look like, what their interests are going to be, what they're going to be when they grow up, right? The relationship you're going to have with them. Even as a parent, from the moment we find out we're going to be one, we tend to have a vision. Visions can make things easier, they can make them difficult. If you have no vision, if you have no hopes or dreams for your child, right? When they reach the teenage years, which they all do, right? And the rebellious stage kicks in where they know better than us, it's going to make those days a lot harder to handle because they're going to be like, why? Why did I choose this path? What did I do wrong? Where did I go wrong? What happened? And you can question that even if you have a great relationship with your kids, right? Because kids test you, they test your boundaries, they test you as a human being to every length imaginable, especially the older they get, right? And the smarter they become. But there's also pride with that because you're like, I made this person, right? This is me. This person is an extension of me. They're going to do great things. I see so much for their future. Most parents, right, have a vision for their children before their children are ever even born, especially mothers, right? From the moment we conceive or we learn that we conceived, we have hopes for a girl or hopes for a boy, hopes for what they're going to do. This whole life that we couldn't have even imagined before. Our life looks completely different now that we're a parent, right? Than it probably was before we were parents. Our vision changed because now we have this new little person to take care of, right? Who became a big person or an adult, right? Who's going to have kids of their own one day. So, just another example, right? We're all parentpreneurs, so it's something I knew you could relate to because I relate to it. I know I had hopes and dreams for my kids before they were born. From the moment I learned that they existed, right? I started having all these hopes and dreams, picking out name, picking out clothes, right? Picking out all the things. What's the room going to look like? Things like that, right? I know you can relate to that. So moving on, I don't want to get us caught up too much because I want to keep us on track. Next up is the power of a strong why. Okay. This is why your vision is so important because it shapes your why. And when you have a why, when you know exactly why you're doing something, where you're going, who you're doing it for, it's going to help you stay committed during those tough times, right? Because being an entrepreneur, parentpreneur, right? Things are up and down, up and down, up and down. Even as parents, they're up and down, right? Our kids might be in a good mood and we have the best relationship one day, and then the next day they can't stand us because we told them no, they can't stay out past their curfew or whatever the case may be, right? No, you have to go to school. You can't just stay home because you don't feel like it, right? The things we deal with every day. So it's going to help us stay committed, right? It's also going to attract the right opportunities and people to us because we know who we're helping. We know what we're trying to create. We know the impact we want to make. So by marketing to those things, by speaking to those things, we're going to attract the right opportunities and people by default instead of the wrong ones. It's also going to simplify our decision making, okay? Because if something aligns with our vision, right, an opportunity comes up and it aligns with our vision, we know it's a yes. If it doesn't align, we know it's a no. If we don't have a vision, we got to overanalyze and overthink and be like, okay, if I invest in this, what is it going to get me? How is this going to help me? It's a lot harder to know what it's going to get you and how it's going to help you if you don't know what your long-term goal is, what your vision is, what your why is, right? You don't know if something aligns with your vision if you don't have one. So it makes decision making a little bit tougher, a little more time consuming, right? So I'm going to give you some examples of people who started with a strong why. Everybody knows iPhone, right? Steve Jobs. He had a focus on innovation and the user experience, even over immediate profit in his business at first. That's what he started with. That was his why. He knew he wanted an innovative product that was easy for people to use and it helped them, right? It enhanced their experience with his product. That's what he knew he wanted. Oprah, she knew that she wanted to empower people through storytelling before she ever even had a clear business model. Martin Luther King Jr. had a dream and knew that he wanted to achieve it by nonviolent means before he knew how he was going to achieve it, right? He knew that he did not want to do it with violence. Everyone knows I had a dream speech. I don't care who you are, right? Everyone knows that he was all about nonviolence. Nonviolent, nonviolent, Lord, nonviolent. I don't know if that's the exact quote, right? But that's the one that always sticks in my head. And these things change over time, right? So if you hear something so much, sometimes you put a little spin on it. So maybe I did that. I don't know. But, or maybe it was his exact words. But I do know that he had a dream, a world where people got along, right? Slavery didn't exist. The things that separated us instead brought us together, right? And he knew that he wanted to achieve that dream or that vision by not adding to the violence that already existed in the world. Okay. So, that being said, let's get your why together. Let's do that exercise I talked to you about. All right. Simple 4-step exercise. Step one, I want you to close your eyes and I want you to imagine your ideal business and life, right? 5 to 10 years from now. What does it look like? Where are you living? What are you doing? How much money are you making? What help do you have, both in your business and your personal life, right? Who are you helping? Make sure you allow yourself to fill in all the details. Make it as clear in your mind as you possibly can. Get crystal clear on that vision. What does it look like? If you were living your dream life and you had your dream business, what do they look like? Inside your mind, your mind's eye, picture them. What do they look like? Get that clear, right? And then you'll move on to step two, where you're going to define the impact that you want to make. So, who are you helping and how are you helping them, right? But then once you know that, you can move on to step three, which is identifying your non negotiable values. For MLK, that was nonviolence. He knew he wanted to achieve his dream, but he refused to do it by violent means. He wanted it to be nonviolent. So he organized sit ins and protests and marches, things that were nonviolent, right? Where he just used his freedom of speech. And I also want you to identify who benefits the most from your vision becoming a reality. Is it you? Is it your children? Is it your children's children? Is it your clients or your customers? All of the above, maybe, right? But take it a step further. How do they benefit? How do you benefit? How do they benefit? These are all things you want to think about in step three, okay? And you want to actually identify, list them out. Because all of these 3 steps are going to make it very easy for you to get to step number 4, which is going to be write a 1-sentence vision statement, okay? The reason it's going to be 1 sentence is because it's going to give you time to focus on the most impactful choice of words, right? You're going to choose the most impactful sentence that you can. That's going to give you that deeper meaning, your why, right? And I want you to keep it somewhere visible so you can look at it throughout the day. Once you've completed this exercise, you know what's next, right? I want you to, sorry, she got a puzzle out the closet. Okay, sorry. I want you to comment that below this video. Write your 1-sentence vision statement below the video. Just comment it. All right. That's going to keep you accountable and it's going to make it real, right? Because when you write something down or when you speak it out loud, it becomes real versus just keeping it in your head or keeping it inside, right? So share it with others. Even if you don't share it in the comments, share it with someone. Make it real as you possibly can. All right. So that way you can achieve your vision. Now, that being said, next week, we're going to talk about breaking the cycle. Why? Because as first gen entrepreneurs and legacy building parentpreneurs, right? We have cycles in our lives. We're bound by chains that we may or may not know exist. And those chains often show up in patterns, right? Or this cycle that we repeat, right? That we grew up in. And now as adults, we're repeating it with our children. And then they're going to repeat it with their children and so on and so forth, right? Think of it as like a generational curse, right? Or a generational pattern, if we don't want to use the word curse. I'm going to show you how to break that, how to identify it, because they still show up in your life every single day. You need to first pay attention to them so that you can identify them and then break them. Because that's how you create generational wealth, especially as the first person in your family to do it, right? You have to first break the cycle in order to even start creating that generational wealth that you dream about. So, that being said, I'll see you next week. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to my channel, turn on those notifications, and invite others who are on the journey of generational wealth building to come to this channel to learn, right? And if you're feeling called, I have some founder member offers, right? For Build Your Legacy. So you get some extra goodies when you join as a founding member, okay? And it is for the first 8 people per tier. I'm not going to go into all the details. I'm not pitching you right now, right? I'm just giving you the information at the end of this video. You can go to my website, www.empoweryourfinances.com. It's right there on the screen for you. And compare the offers, see which tier feels good to you that you feel called to join at, right? And then join us. Get started on your journey, right? But start with your vision. I have some more exercises like this and one that goes even deeper inside Build Your Legacy. So I'm more than happy to have you join me. All right. Until next week, when we talk about breaking the cycle, I hope you guys have a wonderful week and I will see you soon. Bye.